Okay, cool. Now we're live. Awesome. So, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Just got done watching a TV show with my wife. We don't get to do that very often, so that was exciting.
What show did you guys watch?
We're trying this WandaVision show out, which is kind of funny because we've not seen any of the Marvel movies. So there you go.
How do you, so from a person who's not seen any of the MCU's
Mhm.
anything, how do you like WandaVision?
You know what? I'm cheating a little bit because I haven't seen any of the movies, but at least when I was younger, was quite a comic nerd. I actually had the first comic with Vision in it.
Oh,
And I don't know what happened to that, but I think I lost it in my move, sadly, because it's worth a good chunk of change now. But lesson learned.
yeah.
So with that said, I do have at least a backstory a bit, though the Marvel universe does shake things up. It's the first couple of episodes were weird. This fourth one was pretty interesting, and at least I think they're doing a good job of not making it. I don't think you have to know everything about the Avengers to at least enjoy the show. So it's been okay so far.
See, Wanda was not a character in the MCU that I was interested in.
Mhm.
So, like, her character is just not interest. It's not as interesting as I think Loki would be because
Okay.
they really, and that's one thing that I think superhero movies do is they really develop character arcs for men, and then women are kind of get the same thing. Oh, you're too emotional, but the power is within you, or it's like some like weird stuff like that. So that's why I'm just like, I don't really know. Like I hope that they developed it better than they did with Dark Phoenix or
Okay.
Captain Marvel or any of the other, like even Storm. They're trying to like redo her. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping it's better, but I don't have a want to watch Black Widow, her origin story, or WandaVision. But
Yeah. I would say this, at least from what I'm seeing about WandaVision, is that I don't, again, I've never seen the movies, but I'm a little bit, I quit reading comics, but it sounds like this is like bringing in, there was a big arc called The House of M where she like recreates a universe or something. And it's kind of really wild, but she is definitely of the characters. Pardon me, is she's definitely the main character and she's getting more run in this. So, and
okay,
I would say this about movies. I don't recall if you were the person I talked to about this, but I'm not a big movie fan because generally movies have to wrap up in about an hour and a half or 2 hours, 2.5 at the most, but that's pushing it.
yeah,
And I like a story that continues, and it has to give you enough of a front story to make the movie make sense. And then if they're going to extend it out, so it's kind of wrapped up in too neat a package. And especially with the Avengers movies, you would know better than me, but it seems like there's just too many characters.
there is so it's like Endgame was so long, but it was so good.
Was it?
But yeah, so I get it, but I'm such a movie. I love seeing movies because I need it to wrap up. I don't want to watch 15 seasons of The Walking Dead. Let me watch a movie of it. I'll be
Yep.
okay. Like I think a show has a good 3 to 5 seasons before I'm done with it.
You're right. There is a point to shows. Some of my favorite shows of all time. Justified is great, but I was glad that it ended. Dexter was one that I loved the first 3 or 4 seasons, but the
Dexter
last few
was so
seasons were
good.
the last few
Oh,
seasons were
I don't know what
atrocious.
happened. I don't,
They were
you know they're trying to bring it
atrocious.
back, right?
I know. I can't convince myself I want to watch it after that last season.
I don't want to. I don't want to watch it. They're trying to bring it back to hopefully redeem themselves from the last few seasons because I stopped watching it midway
Yeah,
through like season 8 or something like that. And I was like, I can't do this.
yeah. I
I
ended up
can't do this.
watching the whole thing, and it was painful. That last season was painful.
No,
I
I
just
can't. I can't. I can't bring my even now. I can't bring myself to watch it.
Now, have you seen
Hi
Breaking Bad?
everybody in the chat.
Oh, hey,
Um,
do we have people in the
Janai
chat?
is
I
here.
can't see.
Yeah, we have. Let's see. Janai is here. Hey,
Oh,
Janai.
there they are.
Who else do we have? We have Boss Lady Denise. Hey, ma'am.
Hey,
Hey,
man.
Lynette. Let's see. We have Honey Tea is here. Hey, she's here twice because she loves me. Janae, this is one of my sisters. She says Dexter was good. I actually watched all seasons of it. I just after his wife died, I think the show started kind of falling off because it was like,
Yeah.
ooh, he could get caught, and so yeah. Janae also says Breaking Bad. I kept falling asleep on the first episode. So here's the thing, though, with Breaking Bad, I saw the first episode, and there was nothing in it that I was like, yeah, I'll keep watching Walter White.
Yeah, he's not a likable character. He's not redeeming at all. And
oh,
yeah, you would think by the end, it's like he's a jerk the entire show up until a little bit, like just a little bit left in the last season, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm
like,
going to redeem myself."
Character arc. Here we go.
Yeah, and no. I'm glad they ended it when they did. I was getting sick of that one too, even though I loved the first several seasons in the middle, but it was getting a little old.
No, but thank y'all so much for tuning in to another live. I am joined today by our guest this week, Mikey from Whack Brackets. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me again. This is a pleasure. I enjoy this. So.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. For those of you who did not hear it, please make sure that you go and listen to it. Episode 33 was asking the question and pretty much answering it. If not now, when? Can you tell us a little bit, just a small recap of the leap that you took of, quitting your job to pursue your passion?
Sure. I'm looking at it at 6:48 in, so I'm going to try to keep it under 30 to 40 seconds. Pretty much, I've been working my whole life on and off. I've picked up side gigs. I even did it kind of full-time for a while, but it's gotten to the point now where I've made some good strides. I've paid off my house. We have a little money in the bank. My job was a dead-end job. I'm turning 50 this year. My wife she got a full-time job. She started as a contractor, got promoted to a full-time position. And we're just financially in as safe a place as we've been in forever. And again, it would have been easier to save a lot more money or try to save a lot more money. But I'm never going to be able to do it if I don't try it. So that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of in that same predicament of, I don't know if this is a good time or, when, because it's never really a good time to do anything. You can kind of try to plan it out, and Outkast even said you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. So our first question
Outkast also says to throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care.
Do you know how old I was when I found out that was them? Because I didn't know.
You didn't
for a long time who that was.
That's a great
remember
song.
Like I think I was. That came out like 94, 96, something like that. I think I was in elementary school and I would hear it on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't until the midway through 2020. So I was exactly this age when I was like, this is their song?
Oh.
This is them?
It's cooler than a polar bear's toenails.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, I didn't become a real Outkast fan until Rosa Parks, Bombs Over Baghdad, something like that. Like somewhere in that area. Like that's where, like, probably the album before The Love Below. Probably around that time is when I was like, oh, I know who these people are. They're recognizable. But I didn't know that that was them. Yes, Janae, really, like honestly, surely, yes, that was. I didn't know. I never went back to their old. I didn't listen to Aquemini or what's the other one? What's the second one? With Spadiopoulos.
You got me there.
I forgot whatever their second and third album are the ones that I didn't. Everybody's like, oh, you need to listen to it. Did not change my life. I just want y'all to know it did not change my life. But the first question of the night, what is the biggest leap that you've taken in 2020? So you talked about how you quit your job to pursue your passion, which is your job ended already, or?
Yes, this is my first week doing my own thing full time.
Oh, nice. So in 2020, aside from leaving your job, what is the biggest leap that you took, or the second biggest? I'll say.
Jeez, I don't know. It was such a wild year, obviously. So uh, everything is kind of a blur. I really didn't have any leaps. I think that's why I was really pining to do something different with the lockdown ish, and literally every day seeming like the previous day. My daughter is getting ready for college, so we're just prepping. It's just been a busy year, so there were no real leaps. I guess I was promoted at my job at the beginning of 2020, which you wouldn't think, and since I quit at the beginning of 2021, so maybe that was a leap, but I didn't make it. I was offered it. So, but no, I didn't. I really didn't do anything. I really am one of those people when they say 2020 was just. It was exactly as advertised for me.
So in 2020, because you're in Tennessee, right?
Yes.
Were y'all ever in lockdown, in quarantine at all?
No. I take it
Okay.
pretty seriously.
Okay.
I've mentioned this several times on my podcast. Particularly, I actually interview some people in Canada and in England and Wales, and they take it really seriously. They're locked down and things, even with just a handful of cases. They're just wild here in Tennessee. My state doesn't have an official mask mandate. My county finally implemented one, but you wouldn't know it half the time at the grocery store.
Okay.
It's a madhouse here, and it's we also talked a little bit, I think, before we recorded the Whack Brackets episode about some of the people in my neighborhood and how the Bible Belt operates, and this is very much an interesting place in regards to the way that they have approached the pandemic. I'll just put it that way.
Let's see. We got some responses here. Janae says, withdrawing an application for a job that would have definitely changed my life and finances for guaranteed uninterrupted time with my family. I didn't even know that happened. Wow.
Well, were you happy is the question. It sounds like in hindsight, I can tell you this. I've never been happy. I've never been disappointed in spending more time with my family. And in the episode, I think I was telling Leah that I got to spend the first 3 years at home with my daughter and my son, and it was the best time I ever spent. And I could have been working, and I would have traded that. So if you get that time and you have that opportunity, I don't think you ever regret it. So congratulations on that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. Let's see. Lynette says, starting a podcast and allowing myself to be vulnerable with the world. Yes, and actually, Lynette was a guest on Take Up Space, and we actually were able to be a guest on her podcast, and we talked about that. I don't know if you ever get to work with Lynette. I don't know what she does or what happens through the screen. That vulnerability, any walls, any barriers that you have automatically come down. And she's just like, let's talk. What's going on? And I'm just like, girl, I'm going through it. And I'm just like, whoa, where did that even come from? But it was really cool. Like just that being vulnerable is a hard thing to do. So that is an amazing leap. I don't know. I did a couple different things in 2020. I think my biggest thing was trying to create or establish a place for myself in Take Up Space podcast, but also with my business. I think that was probably the biggest thing that I did for myself so that I could be in a different place. And so I think on the episode, I talked about how I'm trying to do something different in February so that I can set myself up better for the end of the year. And so far, I've gotten up this is the 4th day.
Okay.
I missed day one. So 3 days. So 3 days I got up at 5:50 to be on at 6. I don't know how you do it. I needed a nap like immediately after meditation. How are you up so early in the morning?
I don't know.
I can't. I don't
sleep well, so I think that's what it is. I think I would, if I could sleep longer, I probably would, but I sleep like trash. So I usually about 5:30, I'm just like, well, I could lay, and that's what I'll do a lot of times. I'll get up at 5 and I'll literally lay there for an extra 30 or 40 minutes and try to get back to sleep. And after about 5:30, 5:40, I'm like, this is just stupid. I may as well get up.
I'll stay up late, but getting up early, that's just, it's so painful. I don't even know. It's so painful. It's just a painful thing. But aw, thank you, Lynette. She says, "LOL, thank you. One of my best conversations. It was a really really good episode. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully we can have her back on. It'd be really great."
What's her podcast? What's Lynette's podcast?
So Lynette's podcast is called Nice to the number 2 Meet You. And Lynette, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to try to do your tag. So what's really cool about Lynette's podcast is that she is really coming into her own. She says, you know, as she's in school to be a teacher, like she's on the practical end where she's teaching first graders, I believe. And she noticed that when she meets people and she talks about being in church and the pageantry of being in church, and we talked about that before, of how people are not necessarily who they are. So the podcast is called Nice to Meet You because she wants to know the real you. And I think that's why she sets the stage so that you come in and automatically like your guards are down. Now it's like time to be vulnerable because it's a really like, I want to meet you, the real you, who you are, not the persona that you put on in the morning or the mask that you wear to be around everyone else. And she actually released an episode a few days ago with nope, his name is not Andrew. I messed up his name. That is not his name. I'm gonna get it. Lynette, who was your recent guest? Because I know she did one with Desmond Price of Independent Thought Podcast. So it's nice to meet you. You're doing a great job selling me. I'm a saleswoman, girl. Let me tell you.
Actually, that's not it. She came back and she gave you a different link right below it. There you go.
She says, "Nice to meet you." Nice to meet you. Podcast is on Instagram, but she's also on Twitter as well. So make sure y'all go check her out. It's just a really really good time, and this time she talked about anxiety and what that could look like. And Parker, thank you, Parker Mays, and they talked about the importance of not just dealing with your anxiety, but recognizing it when it comes because it shows up in different ways. So she posted a couple links and a few things to look at that actually caught my attention. I was like, you don't really have to call me out like this. Don't put my business out on the street like that. Everybody doesn't need to know my anxieties, but she's just a great host. And I really do enjoy listening to her podcast. Nope. Hold on. It didn't save. Okay. So the next question, because it didn't save, and I'm going to just go ahead and ask it. But the next question is, what do you know how to recognize what your barriers are? And if so, what are they? From taking like another leap.
If I have a barrier, the thing that would keep me out of it is, especially while my kids are young, while my son and daughter are still young enough that I have to provide directly for them. With my daughter starting college next year, it will be interesting to see how much money we have to put forth with that, etc. So having some financial backing now is probably a barrier with the kids here that would keep me from doing anything more. But once I feel like they're at a point to where they can be relatively self-reliant, I think that would be then who knows what I'll try. I may go off and try to become a professional accordion player. I have no idea.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? What else you got going on? Yeah. Like with everything else going on in the world, you playing the accordion could be the highlight of your life.
It could be, and that's the interesting thing is people don't know what they're good at, and people don't know what they enjoy unless they try it. And I haven't had the luxury the last several years. I've just been too busy with work and then outside of work trying to keep up with my business and things. So I think the last few years I've I've let some of my fun side go, and some of my hobbies have fallen off the wayside. So I'm
Um,
kind of ready to get those back.
yeah, absolutely. So so when you have those kinds of barriers that come up, how do you typically handle them? Do you recognize them when they first show up, or is it like hindsight, like, oh man, I could have really avoided that if I did X?
Uh, as far as when they're there, and I'm probably an over planner, which you wouldn't think considering I quit my job, but I'm definitely someone
Well,
who,
let's put it into context. You quit your job like and you're almost 50, so
yeah,
you're pretty established in life. You didn't just
yeah,
quit your job and you're
you're
23
right.
couch surfing.
You
So
wouldn't think that by talking to people I know. They're just freaked out by this. They can't
by
believe
you
I would do
quitting,
this. Huh? Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
you're a grown man.
I don't. But I think that's the amazing thing to me is because I have done this a little bit before. I think I mentioned that when I first wrote the game, this was back in the internet's heyday with internet advertising. I was making more money off advertising on the internet than I was in my real job. So I quit my real job, and people were flabbergasted. They were like, you quit your job. Why? I'm like, well, because I need to focus on this other job that's making me more money and bringing me more happiness.
Yeah,
But yeah, I learned early on that yeah, people, if you do something a little bit different, especially if you've had a history of not doing your own thing, I think if you've kind of been on the straight and narrow, and I think that people see a brick and mortar store and they go, oh, he's opening his own place. But when you say, I'm programming computers and I'm writing games, people are like, that's not a real job.
yeah,
It can be. Somebody does it.
yeah. But I mean, I feel like because they don't know what it all entails, they they just assume that, oh well, because they don't see the fruits of your labor. And so they're just like, you're not going to make any money at that, or
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to support yourself or whatever. And it's like, look, if your wife is good with it, you're good with it.
Yeah.
Like who else, what else are they going to say?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say real quick is that my wife is enjoying it right now, especially because the last 2 days, my daughter was sick 2 days ago. So we had to go get her from school. And then I had to go pick up my son today because my daughter normally drives him. And so I've been running the kids all over the place the last couple of days, which normally I could get her to do because I was working pretty much day and night between my side job and my current job. But now that I only have one job, she's like, well, I've been doing this. So it's your turn. So she's got me washing dishes and stuff I used to be able to get away with. So, but now she's like, if you only have one job, that's right. You only got one job now. You don't have the excuse of trying to double team. So it's been nice.
It's an ebb and flow, and I'm glad that there's like striking balance there in your home life. Janae says progress with my current leap. Time is something you can't get back, so I have to believe my time won't be wasted by leaping again. So how do you manage your time as far as progressing in your leap or progressing from one stage to the next? Are you like, as long as I have family time, I'm good? Or are you trying to find balance between your work life, your social life, and your familial life? That'd be my question.
It'll be interesting because these first few days, like I said, I've been having to run the kids around a little more because of illnesses, etc. But when I'm doing my own thing, I throw myself into it pretty heavily. But the nice thing is now is I was just telling my wife this just the last couple of nights, even though I'm not getting as much done as I would like to get done, I'm still getting so much more done on my side gig that I feel fulfilled by the end of the day. So I don't feel like I have to work. I think that's been the nice thing this week is previously when I was doing both of them at the same time, I never felt like I could get traction in either of them. At work is a depending on your job, and mine at times was very much like a hamster wheel, and you just knew there wasn't going to be an end or a resolution, or I won't go on and on about that too much, but my own company, I feel like I can hit real benchmarks, and I know exactly the benchmark I need to get to and I want to get to. and I'll work really hard to that. But at the same time, I'll find out here in a couple of weeks if I sleep better. But I don't. I get super laser focused, but I still don't feel like angsty. I don't have the angst that I have when I was working 2 jobs. So I really do. I'm excited. I'll just put it that way.
Oh my gosh, when I get to that point, I'm actually going to call you and be like, Mike, I actually get it now. I feel it. I feel the thing.
Yeah.
Lynette says, Janai, amen. That's why I don't waste my time or another person's time. Respect that time. Let's see. Janai says, my planner is how I write everything down and check it off as I complete it. Girl, let me tell you, I have planners. I threw them on the bed.
Yeah.
But I have actual planners. Here it is. I have planners. The kids got me planners for Christmas, and I have notebooks, and I write my stuff in. I've been doing a lot better.
I have these little guys here that I do the same thing. Create a query that does this, this, and this, and then as I get through, I'll just scratch them off. And I got pages of things So yeah, when I fill one of these suckers up, and when I first wrote my horse racing game and I wrote a football game, it was really funny to go back and look because I found some of those within the last few years. It was literally, you could just see the progress of scratching things out, and you'd be like, man, I can't believe I got through that and that and that. And then you look and it's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things, and you're like, wow, it's this little bitty progress will add up over time. It's exciting.
Yeah, that's why I like it, is as opposed to putting it in my phone or putting it on my iPad. Like actually physically having to write it is such a good thing.
And physically being able to mark it off is very fulfilling to me. It's more fulfilling than just deleting it off your phone.
Absolutely. She says, this keeps me on task and meeting my goals. Family time is better when it isn't planned for us. So I never write that down unless I have a doctor's appointment or something like that. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like the spontaneity when it comes to family time, because you just get like the best laughs. Lynette says, I love the pics in the background. Do you mind? Does your guest mind explaining the method he used to set? Oh, she wants you to explain your setup.
Oh, this is just I didn't have an official setup, or I did, but it was downstairs. And it was in an office, so I had to be quiet, and I couldn't hang stuff on the walls because my wife would be like, "That looks like trash up here." But now she's stuck me in my own room, so I'm just going crazy. So it's really just a bunch of different things like this. Let me see. That is actually back from about 2000, I think it was. Let me see. It was yeah, I think it's October of 2000. That's when my horse racing game was written up in Computer Games Magazine, and this horse here was the horse that is let me see. Yeah, I'll get it right. There we go. That guy. That's a horse that actually got me into horse racing. Saints are my favorite team. Justified's one of my favorite shows. And that's Boyd Crowder, who's Walton Goggins. And then Timothy Oliphant, who's the guy in the green here. I've got a huge man crush on him. I say it all the time on my show. Of course, there's Whack Brackets, and there's Bold and Brash. If you've ever watched SpongeBob, there's Squidward did a self-portrait called Bold and Brash, and so that's.
Oh, you're talking about the handsome one?
No, this was a different one where his brother Squilliam was there, and I think that he was trying to compete with him as far as they were trying to be artists or something. And yeah, he somehow or another he was trying to sell Bold and Brash, and the art guy was like, Bold and Brash more like belongs in the trash. So yeah, just random stuff. I do have some UFC guys. Not that I even care that much about UFC. It's okay, but when I first started, and actually somebody had mentioned that 2020 was the year they started their podcast. It was the year I started my podcast too, and a couple of the UFC guys they're funny as well, and they kind of inspired me to get going, because I was like, if these UFC guys can do it, I can do it. Come to find out, they're really good at it. I'm still working, but yeah,
I didn't know that you started in 2020. For some reason, I felt like your podcast had been around for like a year or two.
You know what? I was releasing 2 episodes a week for a while, so it looks like there's more.
Oh, okay.
So, and I've also been a guest on a lot of podcasts too, for some reason, which is great. I love it. I love that people will have me on. My podcast brings people on every time, so it's always good to shake it up, which is why I really enjoy being on your podcast. I think you talked to me with Kel, so you knew I wasn't always just an idiot. But I think a lot of people think that this guy's just a moron. And I like to actually show that I'm not as dumb as I sound half the time. I'm not super smart, but I'm not that dumb either.
Oh man.
Oh, and there's my list too. Look, I forgot about that. That guy right there
whiteboard.
Yeah, that's my whiteboard. So yeah, and you're on there somewhere. Yeah, I think that's it. Take up space was when I need to clean that up. But yeah, so I just keep all my stuff up there, and then yeah.
She said, I knew it was a story. Wow, thanks for sharing. Eventually, I'm going to be in a space where I can have pictures up when I get back home.
You're going to be out of the closet?
Yes, I'm going to be out of the closet, and I'm going to have like an actual setup. Drake's here. Hey, Drake. This is another podcaster who is Everything Culture, and we actually do I think I told you about it, horror movie review show.
Oh, yeah.
So he has Everything Culture, and with that he hosts with one or two other, I think it's one other person, G-Jack, and then we also do Black Horror Humor together, that we record that late nights. We just watched Hellraiser Judgment Day, and that was like the 6th or 8th Hellraiser that was released like 4 years ago. It wasn't as good as the 80s, but
yeah, they never are.
It wasn't as good. But yeah, so that's what that is. But it has, I don't want to keep you. Thank you so much, y'all, for tuning in. Can you please tell people where they can find you?
Oh, sure. You can find me on any of the social media platforms at Whack Brackets. You can send me on the Instagrams and the Tweeters. You can send me email anything at whackbrackets.com. You can send it to quit your job and lose all your money at whackbrackets.com. I'll get that. Anything you want to at whackbrackets.com, I will get. But if you want to check out the podcast, I am at Whack Brackets on anywhere that's anywhere you can get podcasts. And if you want to hear an old podcast, and we'll eventually get back to now that I have a little more time, my wife and I actually started podcasting in February. It's called Only Stupid People. We have about 20 episodes where we get together and talk about stuff. Just we pick a topic and go with it. So that got me comfortable. That was actually my first podcast. So yeah, hopefully I'll get that back going again. But no, it's always a pleasure, Leah. This has been twice in a week, and I could do this every week, except I probably wouldn't. I'd have to quit my podcast then. So
no, we'll definitely have you back. Like it was a really, really good time to record with you. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate your support as always. Just want to give shout outs to Honey T, Janai, Lynette, Drake, Boss Lady Denise. Am I forgetting anyone? Anyone who has liked or shared? I know that there's more than what's in the chat, but for some reason you all haven't commented, so I can't call you by name. But I want to thank you all for watching. I absolutely do appreciate you. Oh, Drake said it was the 8th installment of Hellraiser. Okay, thank you, Drake.
There's 8 Hellraisers. Jeez,
right? Like after the 3rd one, I was like, guys, you're falling off. It's not even. The only good thing about this Hellraiser is that Pinhead had a very similar personality to the original Pinhead. That's the only thing. But other than that, the source material, it was just completely different. But make sure to follow us at Take Up Space Pod. That's Take Up Space POD on all social media. We drop every Tuesday, live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central. So make sure to tune back in next Thursday at 8 p.m. either Facebook or YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.
See ya.